Alrighty.
Cool.
We are shooting TRT again because somebody
have-
deleted it.
We're shooting test again.
Shooting
Getting
test.
buffer. 2 shots of test now.
Yeah, so take 2 on the test, so we should be pretty jacked up by now. But yeah, so someone deleted it. I blame Tish.
Yeah. I think it's always important to blame someone who's not in the room.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Fine.
When I'm talking to Tish later, we'll just say Ben by mistake. No, I think I didn't upload it, basically.
But I don't have the sound, which means I must have uploaded it and then deleted it because I wouldn't delete off the card before I've uploaded to the document.
You see, so
Anyway.
everything's lost. So
Someone's done something.
Someone-
Maybe
okay,
we
it's
were
Tish.
hacked.
It's Tish.
Okay, but probably the episode was so shit that the universe just deleted it. So
That's
let's
what
give
I'm
it.
thinking.
Let's give it a second round. Yeah.
Let's get a take 2. So we were talking about, or why we spoke about it that week was obviously there's a few things happening that week. One of the things was that we just used me as an example, just as like a baseline Viking study, because I think
You're referring to yourself as a Viking now.
He's like the non-blonde, non-tall.
You're like everything
Viking.
but a
Yeah.
Viking.
so we used me because we were talking about that the new baseline is not really like the accurate baseline.
Yes.
The baseline that I
Yes.
was in is high, like I'm within the high baseline, but it's still not like it could be high.
I wish we could like draw up. Maybe Tish can do this. Draw up the results and show.
Yeah,
So yours is like in the red. Okay.
yeah,
On the high side,
which is good.
which is very good.
Someone that's been using like all his life.
So basically the conversation that came in was Garth and I were discussing his blood results. We did a massive amount of tests. I don't know how much. I think Garth was carried out on a stretcher because there's only like 400 mils of blood in that body. But we tested everything and his testosterone came back high, but it was borderline high. So I think the parameters judge high as 600 picomoles per deciliter, and yours was 710. So it was like very close to high.
So
But we're
no
having-
need for a natty or not video then.
I mean, if you want to send this to what's that guy's
Greg
name?
Doucette.
Greg Doucette, yeah, and let him do his about everything.
Well, what's this now? Just
Greg Doucette's this guy does like natty or not videos. But have you watched
natty or not?
Natty?
Natty or not?
Natural? Yeah. Have you watched?
Okay.
Are you natural
No, I
or
haven't
not?
seen it.
Have you watched
Okay.
Aladdin? You know, there's Jafar, the bad guy in Aladdin. And he's got a parrot.
Okay.
This guy sounds like I forget Jafar's parrot's name. Comment in the comment.
Okay.
Anyway, it's like Diego or something. Anyway, doesn't matter. It sounds like this parrot.
Have you watched Aladdin? Sorry, I'm just gonna make that. Everyone's watched Aladdin.
Yeah, I
30
don't.
years ago,
So
yes.
yeah, don't recommend the new Aladdin. You know, with
Will
Oh,
Smith.
with
Will
Will
Smith.
Smith.
Yeah, with Slappy Will Smith, slap.
I don't think I've seen
Um,
that actually.
It's not worth your time.
Yeah.
It's really not. Jasmine's way nicer in the
Shit.
animated. Don't ruin it for yourself.
Bringing back
Boys,
those childhood
yeah,
memories.
Just
childhood
keep,
memory.
Keep those core memories pure, guys.
Mine was Ariel from The Little
fine.
Mermaid.
Perfect. You know, she's black now, hey, in the new movie. Did you see that?
Saw that.
So just
I'm woke enough.
Yeah,
you
it's just,
get fun.
oh man.
okay. So Garth's testosterone levels was out of range, but then we started chatting about what the previous reference ranges were before they were changed. The upper range was 900, which has now been brought down to 700. And the reason for that is because reference ranges are established according to population. So we take 90% of the population and we say 5% will be lower than this, 5% will be higher with that, we'll bin that. We take what is the normal for the 90% in the world. However, testosterone goes down directly proportionally to as much as obesity goes up. So as the world gets fatter, the normal testosterone range comes down. So they've actually had to change the reference ranges because the population has become more and more unhealthy. What your testosterone was normal in the previous reference ranges. All right, fine.
So I'm actually normal.
Oh.
So I'm bleak now because I thought it was high, but it's actually normal.
It's not bad. So I mean, I would say the average testosterone I see in guys your age is around 400.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
You are sort of on the higher 700 side.
So sweet.
All those
Um,
cartoons.
Yeah.
All those
Yeah.
cartoons.
Getting your test.
I did watch a lot of cartoons growing up. Okay, so James must actually just keep watching cartoon.
Yeah,
But the right
cartoons.
cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
so
Lion King's going to do nothing for him. This is going to make you sad.
okay, so we've established the ranges and we've established like where we are. So let's talk about. I think in the previous podcast we ran, we spoke a little bit about some of your clients, a little bit older, having a look at, using TRT as a good thing to be doing as you get older. You
Yeah.
come in, you see, you don't see it as like a bad drug to be using to try and establish hormone balance, but use it if needed. So let's talk about the client that would use it, that you would actually prescribe it to, to help their lifestyle.
So we must group the animals into men and women. Okay, so we have testosterone replacement therapy for women and we have testosterone replacement therapy for men. Both are very beneficial. I don't necessarily think TRT is of much value in women without having gone through menopause. Once you've been through menopause, then it's definitely worth having your testosterone checked, and we can talk about TRT for women. That's really its own topic. I think that's going to take a long time, and it's not that helpful to anyone who hasn't gone through menopause. If you've gone through menopause, please hit me up and we can chat about that. Looking at the male animal, we look at, like I said, the general population's obesity having gone up, which in correlation means general population's testosterone has come down. What does that mean? So testosterone is basically a sex hormone. Both men and women have it, and both men and women would die without it. So you have to have it. Both men and women have estrogen. So it's not to say estrogen is the female hormone, testosterone is male. It's not like that at all. It was previously thought to be that, but that's not the case. But looking at men, we need the optimum amount of testosterone to be able to function. So now this is not just day-to-day living. It's essentially everything. So you look at muscle mass, you look at mental health, look at sexual health, your ability to sleep. All of these things are governed by testosterone on both sides of the spectrum. Low testosterone will disrupt these things, and too high testosterone will disrupt these things. So looking at a man, we need to look at what is his testosterone. That may fall in the normal reference range. But if you're having symptoms of low testosterone and you test your testosterone and it's within the normal ranges, we don't know, is that maybe low for you? If we're testing and it's 400, which is normal, but yours was previously 900 and you're on a downward trend, we don't know. So now you're having symptoms of low testosterone and you're looking at your basic bloods and saying testosterone is normal, high five, maybe take an antidepressant because your mental health is not great. And then they're like, I actually don't feel better. I've been on this antidepressant for 2 years. Have I seen an improvement? Not really. Maybe I just got a bit fatter as a side effect.
So as an example of me, so let's say we tested mine at 700, whatever it was. I could be on a downward trend. Like I'm 37 years old now. I could have been at 900 not so long ago, training a lot, or just better health, sleeping better, all those other things that I didn't have before kids and a few things. But I could be on a downward trajectory. And so by knowing my baseline now, where I am, we can see in 3 years' time where I am and then be like, geez, you're at 600. That's a big jump. So you're still high, but that's not high for you.
So this is the value of knowing what your blood markers are.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll have someone come to me with impaired kidney function, for example, on their blood tests. I'm not saying that decreased kidney function is normal, but they might actually have been there for some time. And then we just react to this terrible kidney. And then what are we looking at? And do we need to go on these meds? And actually, they haven't been drinking water for 10 years or enough water for 10 years. And now we could have tracked that over 10 years to say, oh, this is nothing worth reacting. We see a downward trend. We can actually fix this. It's the same with testosterone. So it's always worth knowing what your baselines are. So I'll have guys who are 30 years old come to me and I'll recommend we do testosterone testing in their blood. They're like, no, I don't want to take testosterone. So what's the point? The point is you're gathering data on yourself throughout your life so that when something goes wrong, I'm not saying if, I'm saying when, because the when is coming for all of us. We're all on this terrible road towards decrepitation. When it happens, we take the guesswork out of it. Oh, look, that's the trend. Okay, this is how we fix it. So yes, I definitely think it's worth, even if you have normal testosterone, to know where is that normal within your normal.
Yeah, so I mean, that's like what we've been doing with all of our clients lately, and what we've been discussing for a while now is let's get your blood work done and get a baseline.
Correct. Cool. Then if we have low testosterone, because let's say we have symptoms and we have proof on a blood result that it's on the lower end. Maybe it's not outside of normal. Maybe it's still within normal, but on the lower end of normal. What do we do about this? Okay, well, we can naturally optimize testosterone. All right, this is a talk on its own, but basically, don't be a poople. Sleep enough, eat the right things, and exercise. That is basically what we look at to get testosterone back to normal health.
Yeah, so do the 5 pillars that we talk about. Let's do that for a couple of months.
Yep.
And then we retest and we see, okay, with you eating well, doing all these things, and being a normal human, where are you?
I generally see people who are unhealthy, who put a lot of effort back into their health, increase their testosterone by 1 to 200. So let's say you're at 150. I'm not going to suggest lifestyle interventions as the most important thing. That's going to get you to 250, maybe 350. You're still going to be depressed. you're still going to have inadequate sexual health. You're still going to lose muscle mass. It's not enough testosterone to maintain normal masculinity. So I would say that's the kind of person that I'm going to say you still need to get healthy for other reasons, but you can put all of this effort in and you're not going to increase your testosterone enough. Something is wrong. So if something's wrong, we have two types of what we call hypogonadism, which is the inability to produce testosterone in men. You have primary and secondary. Primary hypogonadism, there's something wrong with the testicle. You got hit by a rhinoceros and the testicle is broken, or maybe your testicles never developed fully as a teenager. That's a problem with the actual factory of testosterone. Another problem that you can have is what's called secondary hypogonadism, which is where the neurohormones released by the brain are not having the desired effect on the testicles. So either there's not enough neurohormone released from the brain, or when it binds to the testicle to produce testosterone, there's not an adequate response. So just real quick, this is what's called the HPTA axis, HPTA, the hypothalamic pituitary axis. So basically, there's the hypothalamus in the brain that will release a hormone called GnRH, which goes to the pituitary gland in the brain, and then that will release two hormones, FSH and LH, which go to the testicles and then tell the testicles make testosterone. So there could be a fallout at any of those levels, or there could be a fallout at the testicle. That's what we're looking at. So that's why when we do blood tests, I don't just test testosterone. I'm going to do LH and FSH to see where along this thing is the problem. Because, for example, I've got some guys who have very low testosterone and very low LH. I can literally give them one tablet that'll fix the LH and their testosterone goes back up. So that's much better than doing bi-weekly injections. Okay, cool. So once we figured out is it primary or is it secondary hypogonadism, and we figured out that these testicles are not going to produce testosterone ever again, or not enough ever again, what do we have? We have TRT. TRT is amazing. There's so many different options. There's injectable testosterone, then there's like testosterone creams, testosterone pellets, there's oral testosterone. The problem that you find with anything other than an injectable is something called aberrant absorption. Every time you use it, the amount your body absorbs is different. So you don't know how much you're getting, and unless you're doing a blood test every week, you're not really going to figure out where you are with your testosterone. When you're doing any sort of hormonal therapy, you must know where you are with your levels. So if you're injecting, we know exactly how much is going in, we know how much you're going to absorb, and we know the effect it's going to have on your blood. So that's a much safer way of doing things. So I would always recommend, if possible, if you're going to do TRT, do the injectable version.
Yeah, so try to steer clear of anything that's off the shelf or anything like that that says that it's got this kind of increase or that kind of increase. Because
so there's a couple of products that you can look at to boost testosterone. All of these things that claim it. There's that Tonkat Ali that's on my desk there. That boosts testosterone maybe by 80 units. So if you're going from 350, you'll go to 430. That's the biggest benefit we've seen in studies. Then there's Tribulus terrae. That doesn't improve testosterone at all. It does improve erections. So people who take it are like, oh no, I have more testosterone because they get better erections. But as far as testosterone goes, it has no effect. There's D-aspartic acid, has no effect. ZMA, the zinc magnesium aspartate, has no effect.
And those are all off the shelf things, because I remember just back in the gym days, there were like a trend that I went on where it was like, what can
Test
you take,
boosters.
like test boosters to try and use? And I mean,
combinations of all of those different things.
Yeah, so it's generally a test booster will have a combination like that, and then there'll be fenugreek, horny goat weed, a bunch of stuff that they all claim, and I promise you can go and look at all the articles. None of these things have an effect.
Let's say horny goat weed not do anything.
Come on. I mean, there's weed, there's horny, there's goats. Like all of that stuff is definitely going to do something.
So what we generally see is products that do well. Let's say I take this and I get muscular and better sexual health and my mental health improves. They're contaminated. So they have some kind of banned substance in that is increasing your testosterone. But if you study those herbs individually, nothing. It does nothing.
So is that where kind of like you find an athlete that pops for something? They're like, oh, but I'm using something that I've bought off the shelf that's been this and that, but it's been contaminated.
In fact, unfortunately, yes. So the supplement world is what's called an unregulated market. So there are no regulations on it. So let's say I sell you Ben's horny goat weed, all right? And I say, in here is 100% horny goat weed and it's going to make you huge. And in there, I've put Winstrol and Dianabol and testosterone. And then all of a sudden you get huge, but you die. And then your family's like, oh, shit, look at post-mortem. There's so much testosterone. What is he taking this? Then you test my product and you see all of the bad things in it. And you want to sue me, the law will protect me. I'm legally allowed to say whatever I want and just make claims. So it's a horrendous thing because it's easy to make money that way. So if you have to prove that this is the right thing, then it's going to cost me money, and that's very inconvenient. So the supplement boys don't like inconvenience. So, yeah.
And then there's the whole pro-hormone vibes, where it's not really a
Yeah,
steroid
yeah.
as it is,
Is-
but once it gets into your body, it's converted into something that basically is,
And the side effects of the pro hormones are actually worse than the side effects of steroids. And I'm not talking about testosterone as a steroid. I'm talking about like Tren, Winstrol, Danabol, Masteron, all those like beautiful things, which have got a very bad reputation, and rightfully so. They are very dangerous compounds. Are safer technically than the pro hormones. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well,
So-
also from a liver toxicity point of view.
Yes.
And all
What's
that.
some examples there? So, like, I know nothing of this. I think I was fortunate. Someone actually asked me in the week, like, was I ever in an environment where there was like a lot of steroid abuse? And I'd say, like, no. I think it was just the crowds.
Just abuse.
Yeah. Just some kind of abuse. But I think I found myself just very lucky, and then a little bit scared of these things. So, like, the dude I'd be gymming with would be using D-bol or
Yep.
Winstrol or something like that, but I would be just too scared and just not needing to use it at any point.
So-
what are the two references there? Like you say, one's quite dangerous, but the other ones have a bad rep.
Yeah, so I think that it's very important to take the shame and the ethics surrounding TRT out of the picture, because people are like, "Oh, testosterone's so bad, so unethical to take testosterone." Like, testosterone occurs naturally in males and females. We're not talking about super physiological levels. We're talking about bringing testosterone levels synthetically through injections back to where you were, back to a normal health, not to go super physiological to like make you Superman, because with that comes side effects. There's no free lunch when it comes to medicine. If it has an effect, it has a side effect. But side effects are always going to be dose specific. So if you can die of taking too much vitamin C. Of course you can. Doesn't mean vitamin C is poisonous.
Yeah, and that's where the bad rep of creatine and all these things come in, that we have to then explain to moms and dads, like, have a look at your son's health first. Eating, yes. Are they eating, sleeping, doing everything else right? Right. Now, their creatine levels will help with X,
Yes.
Y, Z. Yes, if you take 30 grams a day, that's too much.
Correct.
But your son taking 5 grams a day, or
Yep.
even daughter that's very sporty, athletic, whatever it is, taking 5 grams a day is only going to benefit them
100%.
in these kind of areas.
Yeah.
So the same, like you're saying now with the steroids.
Yeah. So I'm not promoting the use of steroids at all. I'm not even promoting the use of testosterone, because I think that there's a lot of testosterone out there that's not actually testosterone. You must understand, let's say I'm a black market lab and I'm selling you my testosterone online. I want it to work unbelievably well so that you buy mine and not the next guy. So let me slip a bit of Tren in there. Then you're like, holy shit, look at me. This is proper testosterone. This is not cheap stuff, even though it is. So I'm recommending medically indicated, so proven on a blood test you have low testosterone with symptoms. What are symptoms? Depression, that's a big one. Decreased sexual health, big one. Loss of muscle mass, big one. Feminization, so you just don't have that sort of like killer instinct you used to have, that sort of what people will generally call like the sort of testosterone rage of like, I really want to get this job done. I'm highly motivated. Now, I'm not saying that women are not highly motivated, but in men, testosterone is the primary factor of how motivated you are. So if you're losing motivation for life, you're sleeping worse, all of these things are going wrong, and you have low test on a blood result, it's time to have a look at this. So what do we do? All right. Well, we write up testosterone. So you can choose what you want: pellets, creams, tablets, or injectable. I don't work with anyone who wants to do the others. I have one client who has been extremely good and has proven to me that they are able to do it with creams. One. The rest is just their bloods are all over the place and it's just not worth it. So creams can be useful if you're very good about how you do things. For example, you take it every single day, or you apply it every single day to exactly the same square meterage of your body after a shower, at the same temperature of the shower, having used the same soap, having dried it, and then timed how long between drying and applying you are. So if you're very strict about those things, fine. Most people, they just do a little injection twice a week. That's that. Then we treat until we see disappearing of symptoms. This is very important. People are like, oh, let me treat, if I'm 200, let me treat to 600, and then I'll stop there. Maybe you need more. Maybe you were at 1,000 when you were a teenager. We don't know. All right. So we treat until the symptoms disappear. We don't want to treat further than that. So if symptoms disappear at 450, that's a huge one. We high five each other and you go on the lowest amount, because, like I said, lower the dose, the lower the side effect profile. And you probably won't have any side effects. As we go up and up and up, increasing the dose. Let's say Neil's depression doesn't go away, and we genuinely think that the depression is from low testosterone. He hasn't lost anyone close to him. He hasn't lost his business. Like, there's no other reason for the depression. And we've tried SSRIs, they haven't helped. We've tried CBT and it hasn't helped. Excuse me. And now we're at a point where we think it's the testosterone. We drive it up and up and up. When you have any testosterone in your body, your testosterone is affected by something called the aromatase enzyme, which is an enzyme that literally will flip testosterone into estrogen. So the more testosterone you have, the more you're exposing to the aromatase enzyme and the more estrogen you will have. So as you get higher and higher, we have to start adding things like estrogen blockers. And estrogen blockers come at their own side effect cost. So like now you're looking at bone mineral density goes down. So you have increased fractures in your old age because you're on the estrogen inhibitors. So we don't want that. We want to be on testosterone only. That's all. Just testosterone, just enough to get your symptoms gone. But there are some people where we have to drive it super high just to get the symptoms to disappear. Symptoms go away. They literally get their lives back. They just feel amazing. They get sick less. Business goes better. Their relationships with their wives improves dramatically, and they're happy. We can't, in good conscience, drop them down. You know what I'm saying? We have to stay at this dose. So then, yes, I'll think about adding an estrogen blocker at that point.
Yeah, so that's what we spoke about, where you're then going to do it. You're going to treat it as something for life. So I think we spoke in the previous one where
Yes.
this becomes a lifestyle,
Yes.
and it's something you're going to do, and it's not expensive, like we spoke.
Yeah.
So
So cost profiles are around 500 Rand a month.
Yeah.
It's less than your whey protein.
Yeah.
That being said, it is something you must do for the rest of your life, but it doesn't necessarily have to be something you do for the rest of your life. So I have some people who go on and they stay on, let's say, for 4 months, and they say, I just can't do this. Like, I thought I could do it, but like this injection thing is not for me, or I really don't feel happy doing this, or my new girlfriend hates this, or whatever. You can stop. It's not to say you're going to shut down your testicular function as it is over such a short time frame. If you've been on for 6, 7, 8, 9 years, it's going to be very difficult to come off. Then you're going to have no testicular reserve. So if you want to come off, you can then come off, let's say 3 or 4, 5, 6 months into it, you can come off and you can get your testosterone back to where it was through the right medicines and the right lifestyle changes, but you're never going to go above where you were.
Have you seen people come off and then stay at that slightly higher level just because their body? So there's something wrong with their body that's dysfunctioning, and
correct,
and it's going to just drop back down again.
It'll drop down at least to where it was, if not worse off. Generally, it will always be worse off, and then you supplement back up using luteinizing and FSH, LH and FSH analogs.
Can you cycle it then if guys really can't stick to it permanently, like
no.
3 months on, 2 months off, to try and...
So that's the idea behind professional bodybuilding, is they'll go on to drugs for some time and then come off for some time and go on for some time, trying to maintain sexual health into their old age or whatever it is. You can do that, and I would say 50% of people will get away with it. So it's a bit of a roll the dice.
But even those guys are they're going from higher dose when they're looking to do competitions to probably a TRT dose when they're not.
It's interesting
to maintain a normal level.
So testosterone or TRT will drive down fertility. So there's two different things you must understand. There is testosterone within the testicle, and then there's testosterone outside of the testicle. Testosterone outside of the testicle is what we're testing in the blood. All right, we're not putting a needle into your testicle and drawing out the testosterone. We're figuring out how much testosterone is in your body, which is having an effect on your brain, your heart, your muscles, which is wonderful. But when the testicles realize there's enough in the body, the intratesticular testosterone goes down. And that is the testosterone responsible for sperm production. So now I've got these boterballetjies who are like feeling good, looking fit. They're like, I want to impregnate my wife. They can't. The sperm count is way down. So you have to be very careful. Okay, what time of your life are you doing this? Oh, I want to do TRT. Do you want kids? Yes. Have you had kids yet? No. Maybe it's not the right time to start. You can maintain fertility throughout your TRT, but you have to add fertility drugs to that. So you can't just be this rando who goes like, you know what, I'm going to do some TRT, then I'm going to stop and have a kid, and then go back on. I do have clients who have done that. Phenomenal. So I've got this one client who was like, yeah, let's do TRT. And his testosterone was low. And he had used and abused all sorts of wonderful steroids in his past. Now he's been off for like 10 years, but now suffering tremendously from that. So now we're going to TRT. No, now he wants to fall pregnant. I'm like, fine. Okay.
You can't fall pregnant because you can't fall pregnant.
So we stopped the testosterone, and within a week, his wife was pregnant. So I was like, okay, fine. So it does happen. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but you have a lesser likelihood, and you need to be informed when you're making this decision. am I willing to risk having a less likelihood of having kids versus, okay, let me just wait 5 or 10 years to start the TRT, have my kids, and then go on TRT. Fine.
Yeah, especially being healthy around that.
Yeah, but it's not the same for everyone, because another guy could do the same and will never have kids. Like
Agreed.
you don't know what cards you've been dealt until you get to that
Bro,
point.
I remember when I was
mean,
24, there was this guy who was a good friend of mine, juicing to the max, like you've never seen, like everything, max dose of everything. And this guy must have been spending like 20 grand a month on gear like just crushing it. And he was huge and obviously a little bit promiscuous and whatever. And he got his girlfriend pregnant. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, how is that?
Still possible.
well, I mean, Bumstead just had a kid. I mean,
So look, Chris Bumstead is very open about his anabolic use. Obviously, he's like Mr. Olympia. But I would say that he most likely intended to fall pregnant, and he most likely worked with a doctor giving him fertility drugs while he was on cycle. So you can most certainly fall pregnant, but I'm saying you have to
or
have.
it was timed in a specific off-season period where he was maybe lower on whatever.
So I would
that's
say he
all that.
wasn't on the other anabolics, but I would say he was definitely still on test. I don't think he ever goes off test. I don't think. But there are certain drugs that you can take which will increase the intratesticular testosterone, the testosterone inside the testicle, which will then increase your sperm count. So just add that.
All right. So there's a couple of questions that we had post the previous chat that we then pushed out. Do you want to cover a few of those just so we don't skip anything on those guys' fronts that you had, or was there anything particular that? Because we posted like this is what we're talking about. If you guys then reached out, like this is then what I've been looking at because I want treatment.
My friend wants to know.
My friend wants to know.
No, well, that was regarding the peptides.
Okay, there was more peptides.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue with TRT now is you have guys who don't even disclose they are on TRT. And then they'll do like, I mean, like this is where social media and things like that also have the issues. Like, hey, I did this 12-week program or 6-week, and then look at my transformation. The other guys like, I've been slaving in the gym way for 3 years and I still didn't look like that. So, and that affects other guys going, oh, well, I should just give up, and all that type of thing. So this is almost like the male version of where the females lie on like the beauty spectrum of like judging themselves versus whatever. And that's what guys have to be careful. Like most top fitness influencers and that type of thing are on a minimum of TRT and maybe some other stuff.
100%.
And it's
1,000%.
Don't put yourself past that, and don't fall fool to that sort of line of, there's very few that are like you can
The
go
fake
test.
natty.
And have.
What's your answer? So this is like a very personal, but so guys come into the gym and they see you, they're like, that guy must be on steroids, and they look at you, but they don't see the dedication that actually goes into how many years you've been doing this.
Until they see him play
your
paddle and they're
commitment.
like, oh no, he's natural.
Then he plays paddle. No, but I mean, like the guys walk in the gym, and obviously, like your physique, you're a tall guy as well, which is something that I'm not. But like you've got a stature, but they don't see that you've put in. I mean, since I've known you, you're training every day, sometimes twice a day, a little bit less now because you're playing a bit more paddle. But you're doing something every day. Yesterday was like, can I jump into the workout quickly, or I'm gonna get into the sauna? Like there's always something you're doing. So, like to get that, because I want to try and now refer these questions to moms, dads, and like let's say kids or teenagers. Like they see these shortcuts, and it's like, don't do the shortcuts. Rather stick out and just work hard. Like it was like an inspirational thing for kids.
No, well, look, obviously in my life, like I've done the more bodybuilding style of things. Even then, like I had mates who be like, they wouldn't have let you know. But then, like years later, like, yeah, I was using something at that point, but they would have denied it at that sort of equation. For myself, I've always looked at it long term. Like I would see guys who using something and they're training super hard, and the minute they come off or lower it, then they're like out of the gym. They don't want to show up. They've gained some extra body fat. Their strength level is not the same. There's this sort of depressive sort of state around it. For me, like it's a lifestyle, so I want to be there every day, whatever. And yes, it's probably the ultimate compliment if someone asks you, like, "Hey, yeah, I think you're juicing." And I've had that accusations all the way through my life. And at the end of the day, it's for me to sort of like, I know what I want. And if I was or whatever, then it's my choice. And like, I'll own that. Even now, like I could easily, like I don't plan on having kids. I don't want, like, that's not where my life is going. And 40, whatever, I could easily go, oh, that's TRT and juice it up. the thing that stops me from doing that is going, okay, but if I don't need it, like it's going to serve me much better maybe later in my life, and the longevity I'll get from that then is, and the less risk that I'm taking out. So I could take it out just for a little bit extra, like buffness, whatever, but what's the long-term effects of that potentially happening? So no, it's for me, it's always risk versus reward, longevity in what I'm doing. And like the rest of my life is consistent. I train, I eat well, I try to get my sleep in, etc., etc. So at this point, there's no need for me to go down that road.
Yeah, and it's like what I want to try and help with parents and with teenagers. Try and not take the shortcut, because doing it the correct way, like you've done, I think I've done it quite well as well. I don't train as much as you through the last like couple of years of my life, but it's the hard work that you put in that gets you the results, that keeps you on track, that again pushes that longevity. And the kids need to fix everything else around them rather than jumping to just taking a steroid. And I mean, there's the other example. Like I also had one or two gym buddies around me, buddies, not bunnies, that would just have bad skin issues, and it's because they're not even eating well. So now they're eating really poorly, they're drinking as well, and now they're using steroids, and it's just this combination of like very bad lifestyle with that. Then you get like a roid rage kind of guy or whatever it is, and that's what we want to try really avoid. It rather spend your time and your effort and even your money on fixing your nutrition and all the 5 pillars that we talk about, and you're probably going to get better results than even going and buying off or like under counter like drug, that is kind of tainted or not even what it is.
I think you still get better results with the black market drug, to be honest. I'm
Yeah.
just going to say honesty. Yeah.
You-
But fixing
There's
your
no
lifestyle
denying
things,
it.
like
But-
if you've got a kid coming in that's not eating well,
Yeah.
eating
So-
too many carbohydrates.
Well, kids should
and
not
now
be
they-
on TRT. We talk
When I'm saying kids, like let's say,
James is not teenager testosterone replacement.
I don't know, like drugs were around me when I was like
TT.
16 years old. Like the rugby
it's true.
boys
No, it's
are
100%
talking
true.
about like I can get D-ball, I can get Winstrol, and I mean I was at the gym at that age, and it
Yeah.
was the talk around me all the time.
No, they are those kids. They're always going to be
yeah.
those kids. Like
Yeah.
For sure. What I will say with regards to testosterone in a doping sense is you have to understand that for your life, you've been given X amount of life, and you can experience massive highs by stealing from your future health and using it now, which is what guys are doing without realizing it when they take steroids. This is not the case for TRT. TRT, we're treating back to physiological levels, never going super physiological. But if you're going to take it for performance benefits, this is much higher doses. And you are, unfortunately, feeling amazing now because of something that you've detracted from your future. There is no way around that. So when I have guys who come to me and they say, yeah, I know I used a lot of steroids and now I'm sad. So then I'll say to them, listen, this is the way it is. Like, unfortunately, this is how it is, but we can help you. So there's damage that's been done to your body. With the correct lifestyle changes and the correct medical therapies, you can get back to massive health and live a very long and happy, healthy life. Absolutely. But you have done damage to your body. It's like people who use cocaine. After a while, they're like, I want to stop the cocaine. Damage is done. Okay, your brain is now affected. Sorry, it is. But this is the chessboard out in front of you. What's your next best move? So I think what I really like about TRT is it's so applicable to so many different realms. Now, if you have no symptoms and your testosterone is low, don't take TRT. Like Neil says, there's no need for anyone to take TRT ever, unless you have symptoms and unless you have those symptoms being proven as a low blood test. Just avoid it, guys, really.
So if you are running a little bit low and you do your tests, but there's no symptoms, don't try bring up, because
don't
your body
even
is
go there.
managing, coping with it.
That might be your normal. That's perfect.
So I think the main thing here is to try and have a look at, again, wherever you are in your life, try and get your marker as young as you can. What's the youngest that you want to start getting this marker from?
So the testosterone cycle in males, like overall now, this is a gross oversimplification, but it improves until you're about 25 and then holds steady for a while and then it declines from there. So I would say from when you turn 30, I would like to have some markers because that'll probably be your peak.
Yeah, so try and get your peak between 25 and 30, know where you are. So if you're a 25 to 30-year-old, go do your blood work, just get your
once
check.
a
and
year,
then-
even once every 2 years, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And then we can watch the trend. And even if you are going to take TRT, TRT is not going to solve your issues. Like if you've got a terrible lifestyle and your testosterone's low, and then you take TRT, you're still going to be depressed. If you're not sleeping enough, you're not eating right, you're still getting sick often, it's not going to fix those things. So you have to lifestyle optimize first. And then you see, okay, have my symptoms disappeared? was my depression actually from low testosterone, or was it because I'm sleeping 4 hours a night? Then, okay, and I'm actually fine. Do I need testosterone? No. All of a sudden, I'm recovering better in the gym because you're doing the right things, the 5 pillars. So always, 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 TRT is in conjunction with. It's never a solution to. And I think people look at TRT and they go, yo, that's my way out. That's how I'm going to live the life I'm living, be super stressed at work, drink wine with my buddies, and still recover in the gym and still maintain my six pack in my 40s, blah, blah, blah. And it's not. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And nothing works. Okay, well, that's not enough. Steroids work that way. TRT will not. And also, TRT is not going to make you look like these oaks on Instagram. These guys who are like, look how natural I am and I don't take, or even some guys who are like, all I do is TRT and look at me. Like, who could we put in this category? Joe Rogan, maybe. Yeah, anyway. The fake TRTs. We had fake natties back in the day. Now we've got fake TRT where guys are saying, all I take is TRT. It's not the truth. TRT doesn't make you look like these people. You're not going to look
guys
like...
are doing like a lot of things. Like, I
There's
mean,
a lot
like you
of
mentioned
shit.
Joe Rogan, like I went through his like, not supplement stack, but his daily stack. It's a crazy amount of things. And obviously it's a lot of money that he's putting back into himself at his age. Like you say, it's not the TRT.
It's not the TRT.
It's the combination of everything else.
Yeah, but Joe Rogan's also someone who's been training most of his life at a fairly high level, and he prides himself on that. So there's a difference. Like, he has that money in the bank from the years that he's done. So he's just kind of maintaining what he's already built up. He's not looking to sort of transform. But if you're looking, if you're going, cool, I'm going to start, I haven't done much, or I've let it go, or whatever, like, everyone has a different story.
I mean, I'm 6 years now not training well, and I'll gladly put my hand up and be like, my average training sessions per week now is 2 to 3 sessions per week. But I've done 15 years of training for rugby, then doing quite a lot of CrossFit. So I've got, like you say, the money in the bank is there. Now I'm just like, not hanging on, but I'm just trying to keep that going. And my training routine is completely different. I'm managing injuries while trying to just keep it a little bit fit,
Yeah. I'm just trying to manage expectations of people who go into TRT and think that they're going to look a certain way.
Yeah.
You're not. You're just treating back to your baseline.
Yeah, so the highlight here is that we're trying to get you to baseline levels to be generally healthy.
Then there's a couple of questions around TRT with regard to heart attacks and stroke. There's a very big misunderstanding of testosterone and the effects that it has on your cardiovascular health. All of the studies, literally all now, show that low testosterone is more of a risk factor for heart attacks and strokes than normal testosterone. I'm not saying high testosterone, normal testosterone. So TRT is not going to put you at greater risk for heart attack. Not at all.
If you're managing it well and you're checking your bloods and you're getting yourself back to your normal level,
Correct.
Was there anything else that we missed that you can remember?
Not off my top of my head.
All right. Lekker.
Cool. Lekker.
Shot, guys. Hit us up with some messages about TRT, and if you are in use of stuff, or if you have used and you've had bad results, or what you did maybe wrong, because there's always a highlight of what we can maybe fix.
For sure.
Yeah.